Now, this is way too big of a topic to not do a discussion on this. If you're not familiar with what's gone down over the past couple of hours, um, upcoming versus the four Yonko, four Emperors arc, that has been confirmed, and discussion of how I think things might play out considering where we are in the story of One Piece. So, by far one of the biggest set piece of news that we've had, not only in 2016, probably in One Piece period. So I'll start with the topic. The two main possible outcomes of this whole discussion about the four Yonko or versus the four Yonko, that in itself is a big dead giveaway of what Oda means by that, and the fact that when we got the notebooks a couple back at the end of last year, we did get one for Whole Cake Island, we got one for Zoe, which we're in now. We got one for the Revolutionaries, and we've got the island remain the island four, or maybe that's where the four Yonko are going to battle. But then you have to also remember the Yonko are not supposed to tangle with one another. They're meant to maintain balance within the New World. That's how it works out, unless a scenario calls for that circumstance. For instance, when Big Mom went to Dressrosa to pick up Caesar because Caesar swindled some money, obviously Caesar was working for Big Mom at some point. Meaning this could mean Kaido and Big Mom were on one point or another under connection. And this comes back to the speech that Doflamingo said about the Game of Thrones like speech, so who will betray whom. But let's start with the Yonko. We know whereabouts. And I'll start with the Yonko. We don't know where they're at right now, where they're heading. So let's start with the two most obvious, Big Mom and Kaido. Now we know Kaido's on Wano, we can assume, because that was been hinted throughout most of the chapters over the past month. At the start of the year, it focused centered around Big Mom when it relates to Sanji on Whole Cake Island, and both of them have a poneglyph that Straw Hats need to decipher to find the other poneglyph, to find the intersection that will lead them to Raftel. So I don't think it's going to be an arc, but all four Yonko, Simon Tate are going to be there together. I think it's going to be more or less four Yonko in separate arcs are going to get the chance to fight in it, because it's way too time consuming. The other thing is, I said this before, this whole issue with Big Mom not fighting Luffy there's no way in hell that's not going to end with a fight. There's too many combustible elements. You got the Vinsmoke family there, and you got Big Mom with the explosive from the Straw Hats ready to detonate in her face. So that's going to be problematic for Luffy once they get there. And plus, who's to say, like I said, Sanji might step up to fight Big Mom. And judging from how versus the four Yonko is titled, would it be really a stretch to say all four Yonko in separate fights, in separate arcs? Knowing we got three of the four Yonko tied in with separate arcs. We got the Whole Cake Island with Big Mom, which there's a wedding, but we know that's going to turn into a brawl. We got the Wano side of things with Kaido, who's ushering in the Throne Wars. How is that not going to cause any chaos? And we know Blackbeard, or we don't know where they're heading right now, where they are right now. What we do know is Burgess has the Beaver card for Baltico, for Blackbeard to show up on Revolution HQ and start a massive war with the Revolutionaries with Monkey D. Dragon. So that right there is three separate fights. Now, when it comes to Shanks, we don't know where he is right now. What we do know is the Kid Alliance are targeting Shanks. What we don't know is why. But this may tie into what happened with the meeting with Kaido, because if they would have got fucked over by Kaido, we'd have heard about that in the news, like we did about Marco tangling with that. But that's the only way I see Shanks being brought into the picture, if Kid. But if you think about it realistically, that would mean that all four Yonko would face separate enemies, and that could be where the arc comes in. the versus Paul Yonko. So either that, or maybe we'll. This is maybe a stretch, but maybe we will get 4 Embers in the same place. Now, I'm not saying just because they're in separate fights, that's going to be the end of it. No, I don't think it's going to be that simple. These are overpowering powerhouses that the world government has selected to maintain balance within the New World. And that's another thing. The government is sure to get involved. CP0 is sure to get involved. That's going to want up to Kaido and start knocking in the door and try and get the Poneglyph without a fight. It's not going to happen. So, like I said, the only person I can see tackling Kaido at this point is Law and Zoro. But Law already has a beef with Kaido anyway, because what they did in Dressrosa to Doflamingo, and how they fucked up SAD back in Punk Hazard. So you tell me if that's not problematic. You know, that's not good. The arc or the notebook that is suggested the number 4. That may be where Shanks is, and that may be where Kid fights Shanks. Because that's the only way I see things playing out with. Because you have to remember, we're 70% in the story. Oda has to tie all these things in different scenarios. Right now, it's the whole Cake Island scenario. He's going to have to find a way to wrap up the Zou arc. The only way I see that happening is Team Zoro, or the Wano side of things, handles Jack while they go to Whole Cake Island. I think that's where this story is going to take off. And like I said during the update, I think that Whole Cake Island is going to be a catalyst for what happens next. Now, as to what happened on Whole Cake Island, we know that weddings are gathering of 2 massive, in this case, 2 massive organizations within the New World coming together. In this case, you got the Vinsmokes and you got the Big Mom side of things. So there's going to be a gathering of not only the Vinsmoke and Big Mom and the 35 Daughters, but also gatherings of other people around the New World. Maybe Supernovas. We know Barney may be one of the 35th Daughters. Lola's going to be a 35th daughter. There's many different ways this scenario can play out, but like I said, I mean, to get all 4 Yonko in the same arc at once is a stretch, considering where the story has to go from here. So I just think we're going to get 4 separate fights, 4 separate scenarios in 4 separate arcs. It would not be a stretch, and I think it would be cool one after the other though. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. That's going to do it for this discussion. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you agree, let me know in your comments down below. Like this video if you did, I appreciate that. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one.